The Vitara Brezza and the Venue are two big giants in the subcompact SUV space. And while newer rivals have emerged and have fared reasonably well, both these models continue to dominate their segment. Now, therefore, it's little wonder that the updated Venue and the updated, renamed Brezza were launched around the same time in the Indian car market earlier this year. It can get slightly confusing to choose between these two heavyweights. So in this episode on HT Auto, we're trying to make that choice a little bit easier for you. Both these cars are of course the petrol automatic units. I'm Shubhadeep. Stay tuned for a detailed comparison. Both Venue and Brezza are now younger than ever before to look at. While Brezza gets flowing DRLs surrounding the twin-pod LED headlight units, a new black band instead of the chunky chrome grille seen previously, and an updated grille in gunmetal finish, Venue is more flashy with its large grille with block patterns in dark chrome and LED instead of halogen projector lights. From the side, both vehicles are near identical to their respective previous models, but the alloy designs on both the Venue and the Brezza have received an update. And at the rear, both cars are massively reworked with Brezza's flowing LED light units extending the sophistication, while Venue's reworked LED lighting and that LED light bar give it a futuristic appeal. In terms of dimensions, Brezza is wider and taller, and because it looks more muscular to the sporty Venue, the Maruti for me takes this round. Maruti has finally equipped Brezza with much needed armor in terms of features, some being a segment first like head-up display and 360-degree surround camera. It now also has a sunroof, finally, and the 9-inch main display is larger than the 8-inch screen on the Venue. But while it has the HUD, the driver display is rather ancient looking. The layered dashboard too is cleaner, but the materials still feel quite plasticky. The cabin of the Venue still feels smaller in comparison, especially at the back, but also feels rather upmarket. Its unique feature highlights include electronically adjustable driver's seat and air purification system, and of course the all-digital driver display. Both models get ambient lighting, wireless phone charging, support for Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, and while Venue supports Alexa and Google Home, Brezza depends on Suzuki Connect for telematics. Again, Brezza takes a minute edge not because Venue is lacking in any regard, but because the scale of updates on the Maruti are more significant. And of course, the cabin space. The second biggest factor influencing buying decision is how a car moves. In that sense, the Venue and the Brezza have clearly demarcated divisions. Now once you step inside the Brezza, it clearly feels more of an SUV than the Venue does. Under the hood is a 1.5-litre engine. It produces about 101 bhp and offers near about 137 Newton meters of torque. Brezza has a very steady, mature drivetrain to it. This is something that I mentioned during our test drive of the car as well. And this car, well, I never really thought I would say this for any Maruti vehicle, say 4 or 5 years back, but it has a planted feel around it. The Brezza has always also had a robust character, so the slightly stiff suspension gives you the reassurance that you can actually throw this car into potholes and speed breakers without any inhibitions. But you know how automatic transmissions are now becoming far more popular in the country? Well, if I have to choose between transmission options on just the Brezza, then I would still pick that manual gearbox on this car, because the 6-speed 80, well, on its own is just about okay, but when you're putting it up against the DCT from the Koreans, it seems a little bit lethargic. And that's the one grouch I have against the newer Maruti cars, where I feel that the CVT transmission that we once upon a time saw on Maruti vehicles or one particular model needs to actually make a comeback. So throttle inputs are reasonably okay, but the response that you get from the 6-speed 80 is a tad bit lethargic. The Brezza is meant for daily urban commutes, and therefore in that sense it isn't the most spirited car, the most exciting to drive. If you're looking for a subcompact SUV that is thrilling to drive, then perhaps you need to take a look over at what the Koreans have on offer. The steering wheel on the Brezza is larger significantly than the steering setup on the Venue. The steering is engineered nicely. It has a bit of weight to it, so even at triple digit speeds you do get that slight bit of feedback. Of course, not the Brezza and definitely not the Venue are going to be very popular with people who like probably the German brands. What does help the Brezza significantly is the seating position. You're seated quite high. Remember, this car is wider and it has it's taller, so that feel of a subcompact SUV is definitely there on the Brezza. Now, Hyundai is persisting with a multiple choice strategy, so you get the Venue with 1.2 litre petrol engine, diesel motor, as well as the 1 litre turbo. Now, as far as the 1 litre turbo petrol is concerned, it puts out about 118 bhp and offers a delicious, scrumptious 172 Newton meters of torque. The 1 litre turbo is definitely the pick of choice on the Venue. It remains as spirited as ever, it is as youthful as ever, and it is as exciting to drive as ever. Paired with that DCT unit, the engine is a delight to drive regardless of the conditions that you may be in, whether it's in bumper to bumper traffic, when you're just in crawling speeds, or out on open highway roads. The sense of purpose that you get behind the wheel of a Venue is, well, quite unmatched. Yes, the feedback from the steering wheel is always a complaint against Hyundai models, but it is heftier than the preceding models, so that is something that Hyundai has addressed. Is it as hefty, say, as what the new Brezza's steering wheel is? Not quite there, but personally I think that's absolutely fine. It makes moving in and out of traffic situations pretty easy. Now, on its own merit, the seating position, the ride height inside the Venue, even when the seat is pulled to its max, is pretty respectable, pretty decent. But if you're someone who's driving the Venue after having driven the new Brezza, then it is something that you would feel is lacking. So in terms of manual transmissions, both Venue and the Brezza are quite evenly matched, but if automatic is what you're looking for, then my vote definitely goes to the DCT inside the Venue rather than the 6-speed 80 on the Brezza. The engine and transmission choices on the Venue are more than that on the Brezza. But between the top-end turbo petrol with DCT on the Venue with dual-tone hues and 1.5 litre motor with AT on the Brezza, again with dual-tone hues, the ex-showroom price difference is more than a lakh, Brezza being more expensive. And one can blame the GST structuring for this. This also means that almost every Venue petrol variant is cheaper than every comparable Brezza variant by a sizable margin. And while both models are considerably pricier than their respective preceding models because of various factors, this round is dominated by Venue. This comparison is not one in which we declare both models as the winner. No. But your requirements can be very different from mine, and individual customer preferences can, of course, vary. The Brezza is miles ahead of the preceding model in terms of its looks and the feature list that it boasts of now. In fact, now the design of the Brezza looks quite young, quite appealing, even compared to some of the younger models in the market. Space and comfort are great, and of course the mild hybrid technology gives it the edge in terms of mileage. But once again, it's important for me to mention that this car is pricier than the Venue right here. Personally, to me, the Venue is more bang for the buck, spirited to drive, continues to have an absolutely loaded feature list, and therefore the Venue for me is the preferred option. Do you agree? You don't agree? For all your thoughts, the comment box is open. Do let us know what you feel. But in this episode, that's all the time we have. Thank you for watching.